There's something about the INFJ that feels timeless. Even when they're young, they often seem older than their age. People might call them an old soul, someone who understands things most others miss. They may not speak much, but when they do, their words have weight. They might not seek attention, but when someone needs real insight, it's the INFJ they turn to. This kind of presence isn't easy to define. It's not based on how much they know or how long they've lived. It's deeper than that. It's in the way they read people, the way they listen, the way they carry themselves with quiet confidence. It's in how they notice the invisible and connect dots that others don't even see. That's what people mean when they talk about the INFJ's ageless wisdom. But where does it come from? How is it that INFJs, without always trying, seem to carry this deep understanding of people, life, and emotions? And why does it stand out so strongly, even in a world full of smart, experienced people? The truth is, the INFJ's wisdom doesn't come from pretending to be something they're not. It's not a performance. It's not something they picked up from books or copied from others. It's part of who they are. Their mind works differently. Their heart picks up signals that others miss, and they process life on a level that goes far beyond surface. In this video, we'll explore 6 reasons why INFJs have this kind of wisdom, and why it's impossible to fake. These reasons help explain not only how they think, but why people trust them, seek them out, and often feel changed by even the briefest connection with them. This isn't about being better or smarter. It's about seeing differently, feeling deeper, and living in a way that honors truth. That's what makes the INFJ's wisdom feel so real, and that's why it lasts. Reason number 1, deep intuition. INFJs are guided by something most people don't fully understand: strong intuition. It's not about guessing or being lucky. It's a quiet knowing, a sense of what's going on beneath the surface even when nothing is said. This intuition isn't just a small part of them, it's how they experience the world. From a young age, INFJs notice things. They pick up on moods, patterns, and energy. They know when something is wrong before others do. They can walk into a room and feel the atmosphere change. They may not always have the words for it, but they know what's coming, what someone is hiding, or what needs to happen next. This kind of perception gives them a wisdom that goes beyond logic. This inner knowing isn't loud. It doesn't demand attention, but it shapes how INFJs move through life. They often avoid mistakes others walk right into. They sense when a person isn't being honest. They see the hidden reasons behind someone's actions. And because they rely on this sense so often, they become deeply tuned into human nature. Over time, INFJs gather more than information. They gather insight. They may not talk about everything they observe, but they store it. They reflect on it. They connect it with past experiences, future possibilities, and their understanding of emotions. This process allows them to form conclusions that are both accurate and meaningful. When someone speaks with an INFJ, they often feel like they've been seen for the first time, not just listened to, but truly understood. That's what intuition does. It sees past masks, past noise, and into the heart of the matter. People can't always explain how the INFJ gets them so quickly, but they feel it. And that feeling builds trust. This intuition also helps INFJs avoid drama. They're often the first to see when a situation will turn toxic. They quietly distance themselves before others even know something is wrong. And when they do speak up, it's usually with clarity because they've been watching, thinking, and putting the pieces together long before anyone else. What makes their intuition so wise is that it's not used to control others or show off. It's used to guide, protect, and understand. It gives them the ability to speak the truth when no one else can see it. And the best part, they rarely need to explain how they know. They just know. This kind of intuition can't be faked. You can't copy it. It's not about facts or statistics. It's about inner clarity, about seeing what isn't obvious. That's why the wisdom of an INFJ feels so real. It doesn't come from outside. It comes from deep within, and it shows up exactly when it's needed. Reason number 2, empathetic understanding. NFJs don't just understand people, they feel them. They step into another person's world and walk around in it without needing an invitation. This empathy is not learned, it's automatic. It's how they're wired. And it's one of the most important reasons their wisdom feels so deep and impossible to fake. When someone sits with an INFJ and shares their pain, fear, or hopes, the INFJ doesn't just hear the words. They feel the weight behind them. They sense what's not being said. They notice the changes in tone, the slight shift in body language, the tension behind a smile. All of these clues tell them what someone is really going through. This level of emotional awareness makes INFJs excellent listeners. They don't just wait to talk. They give space. They listen with their whole being. And when they respond, it's not rushed. It's thoughtful. Often their words touch a place that hasn't been touched before. Not because they rehearsed it, but because they truly connected. Empathy also helps INFJs offer comfort without judgment. They don't need people to be perfect. They don't expect easy answers. They meet people where they are, and they hold space for growth, confusion, and emotion. That kind of support is rare, and it's deeply healing. Over time, this empathy turns into insight. Because INFJs have felt so many people's emotions, they start to recognize patterns. They understand how pain changes people, how love can heal, and how fear holds us back. They don't just learn these things from their own experience. They learn it from the hearts of everyone who's ever opened up to them. This is why their advice carries so much weight. They don't offer empty cliches. They offer words that feel real, words that speak to the pain and the potential in a person. Words that say, "I see you and you're not alone." That's not something you can fake. That's wisdom earned through compassion. Even when they don't speak, people feel safe around INFJs. Their presence alone offers comfort. It's the kind of energy that makes people breathe easier, think deeper, and feel more grounded. And that's the power of empathy. It doesn't just change conversations, it changes lives. INFJs don't use this gift to get ahead. They use it to help others move forward. That's why people come back to them when life gets hard. They don't just offer advice, they offer understanding. And in a world that often moves too fast to care, that kind of wisdom is rare. Reason number 3, reflective nature. INFJs spend a lot of time thinking, not just about the outside world, but about themselves, how they feel, what they've done, and what it all means. This deep reflection isn't something they force. It's just part of who they are. And over time, it gives them a kind of inner growth that's hard to match. They reflect on everything. Past experiences, conversations, choices, even their dreams. Nothing goes unnoticed. They turn things over in their mind, again and again, until they understand it from every angle. While other people move on quickly, INFJs pause. They ask, "Why did that happen? What did I learn? How can I be better next time?" This habit of looking inward builds their wisdom. It helps them grow faster, not just mentally, but emotionally and spiritually. Every mistake becomes a lesson. Every heartbreak becomes a turning point. Every success becomes a reason to stay humble. The INFJ doesn't just live, they evolve. And that evolution shows. It's in the way they speak about life, the way they explain emotions, the way they connect one experience to another with insight and grace. People often wonder how someone so young can have such depth. But that depth didn't come from age. It came from reflection. INFJs also reflect on people. They think about why someone acted the way they did, what might have caused pain, and what fears may be hiding behind their words. This allows them to be incredibly forgiving, not because they excuse bad behavior, but because they understand where it comes from. That understanding doesn't make them naive. It makes them compassionate. Their reflective nature also gives them emotional control. When something upsets them, they don't always react right away. They take time to sit with it. They try to understand it. They write, they walk, they think. And when they finally speak, their words come from clarity, not chaos. That kind of emotional maturity can't be faked. It's not just about being calm. It's about knowing yourself well enough to respond instead of react. INFJs get to that place through years of self-examination. They know their triggers. They know their wounds. They've done the inner work, and it shows. Sometimes this reflective nature makes them quiet. People might assume they're shy or distant, but what's really happening is deeper than that. They're observing. They're processing. They're thinking beyond the moment. And when they finally speak, it often feels like they've been carrying the truth all along. In a fast-moving world, reflection is rare. But for INFJs, it's their home. And from that space, real wisdom grows. Reason number 4, idealism. Coupled with realism, INFJs dream big. They want a better world. They believe in kindness, honesty, purpose, and growth. At their core, they're idealists. They believe people can change. They believe in the power of love and truth. But unlike some dreamers, INFJs also see things clearly. They don't ignore the dark sides of life. They recognize pain, cruelty, and disappointment. This mix of dreaming big and seeing clearly is rare, and it's one of the strongest roots of their wisdom. Most people lean one way or the other. They're either hopeful and naive, or realistic and cynical. INFJs live in between. They believe in the good, but they're not blind to the bad. That balance gives them a kind of insight that feels solid. They can hope without being foolish. They can accept reality without losing heart. This shows up in how they guide others. If someone is going through a hard time, the INFJ won't offer empty positivity. They won't say, just think positive, or everything happens for a reason. Instead, they'll listen. They'll acknowledge the pain, but they'll also remind that person of their strength, of the light ahead, and of the things still worth fighting for. That ability to hold both sides, hope and hardship, is something people trust. It means the INFJ's words don't just sound good, they feel real. They don't sugarcoat, but they don't give up either. This balance also helps INFJs make good decisions. They can dream about what's possible, but they also ask what's practical. They follow their hearts, but they double-check with logic. This makes their choices thoughtful and grounded. It's not just go with your gut or play it safe. It's a careful blend of both. In work or creative projects, this means they bring big ideas, but they also know how to make them happen. In relationships, they believe in love, but they set boundaries. In life, they hope for more, but they prepare for less. That's not fear, that's wisdom. This kind of thinking is rare, and it's hard to fake. People can pretend to be positive, or they can act tough. But to be both, to believe in beauty while facing reality, that comes from experience. And INFJs carry that experience quietly but clearly. That's why people follow their lead. Not because they always know what to do, but because they walk with both eyes open. And that kind of balance is the root of real wisdom. Reason number 5. Reserved demeanor. INFJs are not loud people. They don't need to be the center of attention. They don't speak just to fill silence. Their presence is often quiet, steady, and calm. But don't let that silence fool you. Behind that quiet face is a mind that's constantly working, and a heart that's deeply tuned in. Their reserved nature gives them a chance to watch and learn. While others are rushing to speak, the INFJ is listening. While others are showing off, the INFJ is observing. They take in the mood of the room, the tone of the conversation, the small signals no one else catches. And all of this goes into their understanding. This quiet approach builds their wisdom, because instead of always reacting, they're collecting. They notice patterns. They remember details. They hear what's said and what's not said. And when they finally choose to speak, their words often land with surprising weight. People may wonder why the INFJ is so quiet. Some may even mistake it for shyness. But those who know them well understand. When they speak, it matters. They don't waste words. They speak with purpose. And their silence isn't emptiness, it's depth. This kind of silence can make others feel seen and safe. It gives room for truth to rise. In a world full of noise, INFJs offer something different, space. And that space allows others to reflect, open up, and be real. Their reserved energy also helps them avoid drama. They don't get pulled into every argument. They don't chase attention. They don't need to prove themselves. That confidence, even if quiet, is powerful. It says, I know who I am. I don't need to explain it. Over time, people come to respect this. They realize that wisdom doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it simply listens. And in the INFJ, that kind of wisdom feels genuine, because it doesn't ask for praise. It simply shows up. This demeanor also gives INFJs time to think. Because they're not always performing, they have space to reflect. They process emotions deeply. They weigh decisions carefully. And they grow with every experience. So while others rush ahead, the INFJ moves with care. While others chase noise, the INFJ values peace. And in that peace, their true wisdom has a place to grow. Reason number 6, authenticity. One of the clearest signs of INFJ wisdom is their authenticity. They don't try to be like everyone else. They don't chase trends, copy personalities, or pretend to enjoy what they don't. They live from the inside out. Their values, emotions, and thoughts all come from a place that's real. This authenticity isn't loud. INFJs don't announce their beliefs or demand that others agree. Instead, they quietly live according to their truth. They choose relationships that feel genuine. They do work that matters to them. They avoid places or people that feel fake. And they do all of this without needing permission. Over time, this way of living earns respect. People notice that the INFJ doesn't change just to fit in. They're not interested in being liked for something they're not. They'd rather be misunderstood than be false. That kind of integrity stands out in a world full of masks. But this kind of authenticity isn't always easy. INFJs often go through years of feeling different. They may struggle to find others who think and feel the same way. They may feel pressure to blend in, to be more normal, or to care less, but something inside them refuses to give up. That quiet voice says, "Be who you are, even if no one gets it." And with time, they listen. As they grow, INFJs start to lean into their true self more fully. They stop apologizing for being deep, quiet, or intense. They stop hiding their ideas, even if they sound strange. They begin to trust that the right people will understand, and the rest don't have to. This honesty creates a strong kind of wisdom. People feel it. When an INFJ gives advice, it doesn't feel like a speech. It feels like truth, because they've lived it. They have tested it. They have chosen it. And that's why their words carry so much meaning. You can't fake that. You can't copy a life lived in full alignment. The wisdom that comes from being fully yourself, especially when it wasn't easy, that's what makes the INFJ glow in a way no one else can. The INFJ's wisdom isn't about knowing everything. It's not about age or degrees, or having all the answer. It's about how they see, how they feel, and how they choose to live. Their strength comes from within, built through intuition, empathy, reflection, balance, stillness, and honesty. People often notice something different about INFJs. They can't always name it, but they feel it. In their presence, there's calm. In their words, there's truth. In their silence, there's understanding. That's not something you can pretend to have. It's something that's earned, lived and grown. Each of the 6 reasons we explored, intuition, empathy, reflection, balanced ideals, quiet presence, and authenticity, adds a layer to that deep wisdom. Together, they shape a person who doesn't just think deeply, but lives deeply. And while INFJs may not always realize it, this is what makes people trust them, follow them, and feel changed by them. It's not charm or power. It's presence. It's truth. It's a way of being that says, "I've seen the hard parts, and I've chosen to stay kind anyway." If you're an INFJ watching this, remember, your wisdom is real. You don't have to be louder to be heard. You don't have to be different to be enough. Just keep being who you are. The world notices. And the people who need your voice, they're listening.